Okay, welcome everyone. This is our now eighth annual college guidance event. We've been doing these for quite a while. Started off being in person, but the world changed over those 8 years. So we're going to get straight into presentation and just let you know a little bit about tonight's agenda. So to start off with, we're going to give a quick overview of college soccer. Obviously, there's some families in here who are now in the junior and senior years of high school, but there's also going to be some people who are much younger who this is all new to. So we'll kind of give a quick overview of the different types of soccer you can play within college. And then some things are a little bit newer this year are we've created a step-by-step guide by age, and it's specific for your families. Um, and then just a real quick, we'll go over what Yoa can do to help and how we sort of help guide the players. And at the end, there'll be an open Q&A with our guest coach. So if you have any questions at the very end, I'll ask for you to send them in the chat directly to me. But wait for any questions because actually, having done this for many years, some of the most common questions we're going to ask our guest coach during the event itself. So, who's our guest coach this year? So it is Coach TJ, a good friend of ours, who is currently the head coach at Bard College, DIII school, just upstate in New York. And he used to be when LIU Brooklyn had a men's program there. He was the coach there for many, many years, and that's how we got to know him very well. It's also the author of a fantastic new book called Eyes Up, which hopefully we'll be talking more about in weeks to come, and with some of our players. So I'll introduce you to TJ. If TJ, you want to say a quick hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening. Yoa is one of my favorite, I gotta be careful to say my favorite football club in New York in North America, but the people running it are class individuals that really deeply care about your journey. So it's a privilege and a gift to be with you tonight, and I'm looking forward to the evening.
Thanks, TJ. So as I said, as we go through this and we go over each area, I'm going to be asking TJ questions throughout. And then at the very end, if you have some additional questions you want to ask him, there'll be a moment for that as well. So Yora's been helping our players play in college for many years, decades, in fact. But in more recent times, there's a lot of players who've gone on. You can actually find this on our website where we list a lot of the players who go to play local colleges, different levels. We even get a lot of them come back. And we have our alumni game every year, which is a fantastic event we have with some of our older players. So, we've been through this many times. We've seen what our players tend to focus on when it comes to college. And all the players are listed here, that's them who actually played in the college rather than just attending it. So let's get started. What are the different levels of college soccer? So in general, you can say that there are three types of three areas where you can play soccer. You have NCAA, which is the most common, and they have three divisions. That's a majority of schools would be in an NCAA program. NAIA has two divisions. It's smaller. Tends to be more small independent schools, and then you have junior college, which is your 2-year schools. Now, one thing that people do mistake is they assume that the divisions and it is all goes in order, So if you're D1 NCAA, you must be better than anyone playing junior college. But it's a lot more complex than that. Your school gets a divisional rating, not so much the program. So you'll have some really, really strong junior college teams, Division One, that may be stronger than NCAA smaller Division One teams. So it really isn't as linear as may think it is. So the majority of schools that our players go to will be NCAA. And then the next question that we get a lot is what is the difference between Division One, Division Two, and Division Three? And it really comes down to when you're a Division One, you're essentially a full-time player and a full-time student, and Division Three has a lot more balance in that. But having had the experience of coaching both in recent years, I'd like to put that question to TJ, if you can just sort of explain a little bit of the balance between being a student and being an athlete and between the divisions.
Sure. So Division One and Division Two are closer, more similar than Division Three. Division One and Two do offer and provide partial scholarships for athletes. Rarely is it a full scholarship. Very rarely. Division Three is academic aid, alumni aid, perhaps, but the aid is not athletic. That's one of the primary differences in terms of their ability to fund is different on the D3 level. In terms of a time commitment, and I've been a head coach at both the D1 and D2 level and now the D3 level. So I've experienced all of these, so I could speak to it. The primary difference is your time allotment at the D1 level is much, much higher, where you're essentially year-round doing soccer and academics. It's difficult to do a third thing when you're a Division I athlete. It's difficult for you to be involved in clubs and organizations and internships and really working on your career path, where at the Division III level, you can have a well-rounded experience as an academic experience and also a soccer experience. Those are the primary differences. And the other thing, frankly, is that Division I coaches are under pressure to get results and to win. And if they don't win, they lose their jobs. Division III is much less than that. The Division III focus for a coach is to make sure you're there to support the student athlete in their journey, first and foremost, academically, with internships, letters of recommendation, and of course on the football pitch, on the soccer pitch, to help them get better and to compete as well. So that's a little bit of the difference between those three.
Fantastic. Thank you, TJ. Yeah, and as TJ touched on with the scholarships, it is extremely difficult to get scholarships, and very rare to get a full scholarship. And I think for the majority of our families, they should really be focusing on, not getting a scholarship as a priority. And maybe it's actually, especially with Division III, academic scholarships. There's also a lot of different programs within the state of New York where you can get a lot of aid for school outside of that athletic scholarship. One of the other really popular things that we found our players to do is club soccer. We've had players go to, really big schools, high academics, Yale, Brown, and so on, and they go and play club soccer, and it's a really good setup. It's to a degree more towards like a Division III sort of setup. They are playing against other colleges, so they still get that experience of playing college soccer. However, the commitment is much lower, and allows them to focus on their academics. And we find that to be a really popular one with our players who might be between two schools, and they might be between a huge school, D1 school, and think, well, if I go there, I'll play club soccer. But if I go to this D3 school, maybe I can play soccer there. So it's something that you should definitely, when you're looking at your schools you want to attend, check in about the club soccer, because we found that to be really popular. And we've even had some Yoa derbies in recent years where some of our players have gone to play club soccer and played against each other. It's really competitive and enjoyable.
Can I add? I had a
Yeah.
player a few years ago that I coached on a club team that was interested in University of Delaware, great academic school, was high level Division I. He was a D3 level player, was not recruited. I encouraged him to look at it. They had a club program. He had the experience, which he's discussing right now, and they competed in the club national championship. And he had the balance. He was able to do the things I shared earlier and really lean into the academic experience. So
Yeah, no,
I want to just validate what Lee is saying as well.
yeah, fantastic. No, it's definitely been a good option for a few of our players as well. Um, we kind of explain that there's different divisions, there's different programs. It all depends on your school, and that makes it a really individual path. I can't sit here and give you a presentation on exactly how everyone should do it because it is so different. Different families have different needs, they have different objectives, and it's really gets really complex. So it really does differ, and it's all set on the individual. But what we are going to do is talk about the most common pathway for YOA families. And most of the YOA families, academics becomes a priority for our players. So its most common is Division 3 and club soccer. So the majority of what we're going to talk about will be more towards that Division 3. However, it doesn't change greatly if you want to go down a different path. So the biggest question I get is what should we do and when? So again, this is sort of aimed towards our players at the club. And we're going to talk about each area here as we go through this presentation. But from your freshman year of high school, you should be starting to put your list together. And that might just be a real, rough list at the start. And then as you go through high school, you should really put in your list of colleges. Forget soccer. This is purely your college list that you want to attend. Because you're going to college for your career, not to play soccer. So that list you should be working on all the way through. ID clinics, which we'll talk about, they're a really good way to get seen by a coach and also see a school. And that you should start looking at in the summer of your sophomore year. So just if you've graduated sophomore year, in that summer is a good time to start looking at that. That's also a good time to start to create your highlight reel. And we'll talk more about that, but this timeline is really important because I've now got players who didn't have a highlight reel or are doing it last minute. It's something if you get on it early, you can just be tweaking and editing that one video all the way through. Contacting coaches we'll talk about, but for our players, once you hit fall of your, the start of your junior year, that's a good time to start reaching out. And we'll talk about when you actually are allowed to. It's slightly earlier than that. And then showcase events. The club is going to enter more of those, but again, we'll go into more detail. But this gives you just a rough time, step-by-step sort of guide per age. So your college list. The most important thing, and this is what I've heard from every single college coach that we spoke to, I've coached college myself. Obviously, TJ is vastly experienced in that. Pick your school on your academics. What you want to do is your career, what you want to focus on. The soccer is a side part of this. So when you start picking your schools, base it on academics. Once you've got your list of schools, of course, start to write down what level soccer are they? Is it Division 1, Division 2, Division 3? Making a note of all that so then you can be realistic. If it's a top Division 1 school, then it might not be realistic that soccer will be an option for you there or will help you to get into college. But again, you might decide to play club or something like that. So you really want to, in terms of a YOA player using soccer to help them get into a school, that's going to be more towards your D3 and maybe those competitive programs you want to get into. Maybe, that little bit of an influence from the college coach that you want to join can really help. So the list, something you've got to work on. Start working on it now if you're a freshman, and every year be working on that. And when we talk about how YOA can help, that list is going to be key to that. You're going to have to work on that list before we can help you at all. So ID clinics. One of the really good thing about an ID clinic, if a school themselves run it. So what is an ID clinic? This is often a day or a 2-day camp that a school might run, and it's a way of them seeing players. It's a way for you to see the school. It's a really good way of you, even if it's you're looking at a D1 program and it's not realistic you could play soccer there, you could still attend their ID clinic because it's a great way to get a tour of their school and that side of it. For the D3 side, if a school does run a clinic, and it's a school you're looking at, we highly recommend that you try and sign up to those. There is also third-party clinics, like the two we have, the logos on there, Exact and the Future. What those can do is a really good way of you being able to speak to coaches, maybe from multiple schools you're interested in if they're at the same event. And it's a great way to communicate directly with a coach as opposed to a showcase, which may or may not get seen or anything like that. Um, TJ, as you've done a lot of these either through your school directly or the third party ones, I'd love to give hear your feedback on and advice on the ID clinics.
So the two that you have there are the ones that I would also recommend. For the last 10 years plus, I've coached and recruited at the Exact Sports and also the Future 500, both of those programs, where they have 1 day clinics where there's anywhere from 5 to 10 coaches that attend. So you get a chance to talk to and meet 5 to 10 coaches from each school. And then they have their national camp, which is a 3 day camp, anywhere from 50 to 75 coaches. So it's very efficient, and then one opportunity for you to meet players. That's, for me, it's one of the primary ways that I recruit are these bigger ones. I don't personally go to showcases because it's very inefficient to go to showcases because there's too many teams and too many games. The ID clinic at the school is also very, very important. So, of course, if you're going to consider a school, you need to go and look at the school, go through it, have a proper admission tour as well, because you'll learn a lot as you go there, talk to students. When we do our ID clinic, we only have one. We do at the end of June here. I don't advertise it, so I don't have a lot of people. Mine is small. It's primarily those that are very interested in BARD. It is on my website. It's advertised there if someone's interested in BARD, but we do a tour, a proper tour. You get a chance to work with me. I talk to the parents. I have my players work the clinic, and it's quite similar to most other college programs. My oldest daughter was a D1 track athlete. She went to Davidson College, and my younger one was a D3 soccer player, and she went to Gettysburg. So parents that are listening, I was where you were about 5 to 10 years ago as a soccer parent as well. So yeah, that's the ID clinic that I would recommend. That if you're very interested in a school, if it's a top 3 or top 5 school of yours, do your best to go to the ID clinic if you want to play soccer there.
Fantastic. Thanks, TJ. So, as well as having attending the clinics and sorry, I'm just keep my camera away so I can see everything here. One other thing is the highlight video we talked about. This is a really, really important thing, especially, and it becoming more important as the world moves more and more digital. Create your highlight video. We've seen many different types of these videos being made over the years, and I can only tell you that everything you're going to see and hear now is from us speaking to, at this point, must be into the hundreds of college coaches giving advice on the video. We do record. We have the VO camera that's set up for our U15s and above, and they can record only a certain number of games. Just logistically, it's very hard for us to record every game. So you'll get a good amount of games recorded. But if you want more games, then consider as a team getting a VO cam. They're actually not too expensive. The whole team is chipping in, and you can use this for multiple years. While you're in high school. You're going to use those recordings to create a highlight video. Now, you want to start making that, like we said, in that the end of your sophomore year. You can use your U15, your U16 year to start making that video. You're looking at making one video, not a passing video, a dribbling video, just one simple 3 to 4 minute video. Doesn't need to be longer than that. Include your basic bio page. And they're going to be your best moments. And what we mean by best moments is not expected soccer moments. So not if you're playing out from the back and it's just you receiving the ball as a centre back and playing it to the right back under no pressure, there's an expected moment. Your best moments would be like Marcus Rashford's goal today. We won't talk about the rest of the game though, but that goal today, you know. And remember that it is a college coach looking at your video. So there's a person at the other side of that. You want to start with the best clip that you have. You want to catch their attention. And it's actually the second part was TJ's advice your second best clip should be what you end your video with. And then in the middle there, you can break it into position. So of course, if you're a defender, you're going to be wanting some good tackles, some good headers, playing out from the back, and then maybe getting assists or scoring goals in there as well. This can be made up from multiple years. So your first video is going to be U15, U16. You don't want it to be from 100 different games. You want to try and keep that down to 4 or 5 games that you're getting those highlights from. So you should be making a note as and when your game's recorded and you played really well. Just note down that game. That can be a game for you to refer back to get highlights from. You want to make sure it's a competitive game. And what we really mean by that is how does it look? If you're going to dribble through an entire team and then score, and realistically, it's just bad defending, it's not a highlight you really want to use. If you take a shot that is just a goalkeeper error, again, this is not a highlight you want to use. So it's about the game looking, in your video that it looks competitive. It doesn't matter whether it is a friendly game or a State Cup semi-final is irrelevant. They don't know that from watching your highlights. They're just looking at those highlights as it look competitive. Definitely, it's about the quality of the video. So good quality recordings. A good angle is one of the feedback we used to get a lot from coaches because it was a lot of people recording from their phone and it's very hard to really make anything out. Now with the technology and it's so accessible, most videos seem to be from a good angle. That's why the VO cam is 20 feet in the air. And then simple music, nothing, crazy, full of certain language in there. Just real simple music if you want to use music in there. Personally, I quite like the natural sound of a game, but it's each to their own on that. TJ, is there anything you would add? Obviously, you must receive a lot of videos. How important do you think they are? And is there anything else, any tips you would give in addition to that?
The videos are crucial. That is your first opportunity to make an impression. 3-4 minutes is perfect. Make sure that you highlight yourself with a circle or an arrow so that we know who you're looking at as well. So we can't assume that we know who you are after 3 or 4 or 5 clips, maybe. Make it easier. So put an arrow beforehand or a circle you before you start. Begin the video about 3 seconds prior to whatever you're going to do, your highlight, and then keep it about 3 seconds afterwards. So there's a bit of a window to introduce you and one that after you're finished. So there's a little bit of space on both ends. But this is the primarily way that we recruit. And it's really important, as Lee said, to include your best opponents that you've played against, because the level that you're looking to play at a college level is a higher level. So your best teams that you've played against.
Great, thanks, TJ. Again, like we mentioned, we highly recommend the videos, but we also recommend we have a good friend of the club, Ashton, who's made a lot of videos for players now, and continues to. So we highly recommend you hiring him. And to be honest with you, $375 to make a video is pretty inexpensive. When it's going to be something that can be critical for you getting a place in a college. Also, personally, I know families who got these made for the players, for them trying to get into college, they ended up not playing, but then they've got this memory. They've got a great video that's all their highlights that they can look back on. So when we send the VO link out, we usually include that in an email that will give you Ashton's contact details. You can go on the Yoa YouTube channel and you can see this highlight video of Tiago's. So you can go in there and see it and you can kind of get an example. If you want to make this yourself, which you absolutely can, there's a good example in there. The feedback I've got from college coaches about the videos Ashton has been making, has been very high. Really positive feedback, good quality, very simple. And if you don't want to go and find all the times and all your best games, you can just literally send him your 5 games. However, in terms of player development, the player should be doing this. You should be looking through all your best games, noting down all your best highlights. Ashton or someone else can then knit that together to make a highlight video. But it's really, really good for your own development as a player. Forget about whether you're going to college or not to be watching your video back. So one video, short, 3 to 4 minutes. Keep it really simple. Start making that in your end of your sophomore year and keep updating that same video. It's as simple as that. And trust me, you'll need it. I've had players in the last 2 weeks suddenly need to make a video together to send to a coach. Okay, you could get on this nice and early. So contacting college coaches with a fantastic picture here of TJ in action. So when should you do this? So the rules state that from June 15th, after your sophomore year, you are allowed to start contacting the coaches and they can reply to you. The rules can change slightly between different divisions, and TJ may touch on that in a moment.
Mhm.
But what we recommend is once you get to that into your junior year, should really start to be reaching out to the schools that you are most interested in. Because you are mostly going to be aiming for Division 3, some of the players have spoke to me in the past and said, "Oh, this coach was really interested." Then it went quiet. It's because a lot of Division 3 coaches are going to be recruiting the year of. So there is a lot of coaches recruiting right now for the Division 3 team starting this fall. Okay, TJ and Bard's a little different, a very competitive school. I know he likes to get out ahead of that a little earlier. But that's when we recommend is that junior year should really start reaching out. What are you going to be saying to them? So it's in an email, you want to put a bit of a personal message in there. So it's not just a generic email you've sent to many. So put a little message in there, maybe just mention, congratulations on, whatever record they had the last season, or maybe they had some success. Keep it pretty short and simple. You just want to add into there your highlight video, your physical statistics, and then your school grades. Really simple. Again, sure TJ will touch on this. These coaches are receiving hundreds and hundreds of these all the time. If you put too much in there, it just gets lost. They just want to see the video. Are they interested in you? Yep. Look at your stats. This is a play of interest. Now I'm going to reply. Don't expect a reply if they're not interested in you. Mostly that doesn't happen. Just purely because of the large volume of emails they're receiving. Most commonly is email. We also have been told social media. So on your Instagram page, maybe you contact so Bard's men's soccer or women's soccer, you can go directly to the social media page. You could send a message in there as well. That may also be a common way. And obviously, as we've said, ID clinics. And when you're touring the school, if you get contact time with the coach, that is a really good time to show your interest, to speak to them. But if you're attending an ID clinic, we'd recommend emailing the schools you're interested in before the ID clinic. So, that extra one in there. So TJ, any extra feedback on that for contacting you?
Yes. So the letters is important. The personal message, which Lee just suggested, is crucial. I just got one this week that a player, 225, was a junior right now, said, I watched your film against Sarah Lawrence and how well your team played. And I could see myself fitting in your style of play. I was like, wow, this one took the time to actually watch my team play. So be really intentional at the very beginning, because we get so many generic emails that they get lost in the shuffle. So that's highly important. The other thing is at the end, have a call to action. And I wrote this down just now. Something like, I would welcome your feedback after you have the video. And if you believe I'd be someone that can contribute to your program, I'd welcome your feedback. So I asked the coach to respond. Would you want to respond? You want to answer? Don't just throw it out there. Here I am. Here's my video. Get a response to the coach. And of course, if that program is one of the top on your list, I'd be interested in finding out information on your ID camp as well. Please send that. So all of a sudden you have a personal letter, and ask, do you see I'm someone that would be interested, you'd be interested in, and also send me information on the clinic. Right away, I'm interested in you as a player. So that would help.
Fantastic. Thank you. Um, just so all our players are aware, we are going to this presentation, obviously the recording will send up, also the presentation so you can read through this, and it's on our website as well. So the last one on our list is the showcase tournaments. We will put teams into local showcase tournaments, and we actually happy to receive recommendations as well. One of the reasons why, in terms of college recruitment and you getting into college soccer, that we don't push showcases as a priority are because you have less control with this. You're reliant on, is your team going to enter the tournament you want to enter? Because the school you're interested in is going to X tournament, but your team's going to Y tournament. So you have less control of that. It's much harder to speak to the coaches. TJ already touched on that himself. Um, you know, one of the tournaments that happens, a few of them, the EDP, the MSC one, they're at multiple locations, hours drive away between fields. So it can be very hard for you to get any contact time with a coach to see you. It's a lot harder. And as TJ mentioned, for the coaches themselves, it's less efficient. You're watching all these multiple games, trying to spot one player. Usually, and almost always, it's you've got to reach out to the coaches beforehand. So if we are going to a showcase tournament and you've looked at the showcase and you see that Bard is attending this, maybe Bard aren't because TJ isn't going there, but let's say your school is attending this, contact that coach before the tournament, show your interest. He sees your video and he's then or she might look at you and go, I'm going to be at your tournament, I'm going to watch you. If you don't do that, they're just looking for a needle in a haystack. It's going to be very, really, really difficult. So we will put people into showcases, but I don't recommend this being your priority to trying to get recruited. And I'm pretty sure, TJ, if you want to elaborate on why you said this is less of a focus for you now, compared to the
Yeah.
other methods.
Even when I wasn't at Bard, when I was at LIU Brooklyn, I would rarely go to showcases, and if so, I'm looking for maybe one or two players. Frankly, that would be it. So committing that much time and money as a family to go and travel, that is a huge commitment because I did that with my daughter. My daughter played at PDA, so it was a very high level that she played. Is a challenge, and also if there's 3 or 4 games going on, you might have like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to watch one game, and then all of a sudden I'm off to the next game. So if your son is not playing or playing at the level that, or your daughter, son or daughter, that he or she are able to play at for that 15, 20-minute window, they lose that opportunity. So that's why I'm not a big fan of showcases at all. And the ID clinic is different because we could watch you over an extended period of time and also have a conversation with you. And you could have a conversation with the coach, which is so important because you get a chance to know what the coach is all about. Is it someone that you'd be comfortable with connecting with and moving forward? So again, I can't overstress how the ID clinics and the ones with multiple coaches are really the best way to go for you in terms of a bang for your time and for your dollar.
Thanks, TJ. So as we said at the very start, this is an individual path. So you can only focus on yourself and the path you want to take. So that's why, again, all these other areas is all down to you. Whether you've got limited resources or you've got the money for all the different things, you can still do all of this, all of the, individually, irrelevant of your team or having all the extra things. So we will enter showcase tournaments, but they're not much different than us entering a tournament at U14 or U13. It's a good development. There's a chance for us to play some games, and there's a great bonding you get in tournaments. But in terms of getting recruited, shouldn't be your priority. But you can use it, and if it's a coach you've spoke to and they're going to be at that tournament, great, it might work out. So again, just going back to the start, this step by step is sort of focusing on the players of Yoa. and this is kind of a rough guide of what you want to be looking at and when. Um, but what can we do to help you? So we've helped a lot of players over the years um, get into playing college soccer. The most important thing of everything we've talked about is making it really clear this is player led. You know, TJ just talked about a really good email that he received from a player, not from a parent. This is from the players themselves. So, um, it's got to be led by the player, supported by your family, of course, supported by us as your club, of course, but it's got to be led by you, the player. It's your career, it's your life. So it's got to be focused on the schools you want to attend. Um, Once you've created your list and you've got your highlight video, you started to make that, then you can reach out to us. I'm happy to have a conversation with a player. Parents are welcome to join that conversation. We can do it over Zoom. We can arrange to do it before or after a practice. But we're not going to meet until you've done your side of it first. It's led by you, the player. So get your list together, get your highlight video, start making that, and then reach out to me and I will schedule a time to formally meet. Again, it's got to be from the player. So if parents, you send me an email saying my son, my daughter would really like to meet with you, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not even going to reply because it's got to be led by the player. It's got to be led by you. Um, but once you've got that together, we can sit down, we can talk about the list, we can be a bit more individual on giving you feedback. We can look at your highlight video, say what's good and what's bad. Your coach can happily, we're coaches. You've done a highlight video, coach. What do you think of this? We know what should go in a highlight video, what is highlight and what isn't. We also know what TJ is saying about that competitive. It's what a coach is looking at in the video. So reach out to us once you've done those two steps, and we'll see where we can help you. We've had some really, really good success stories from players who have spent nothing extra. They've made videos themselves. They wrote the email. They contacted the focus schools they had. Last year, I think we had one of our players, John Reese, who went to Hamilton. He was one of my players, and he recorded the games, used a bit of VO, recorded the games from on the bleachers, his dad, and he contacted schools directly, and he ended up getting a spot in a program he wanted because the college coach wanted him, to playing on their team. Didn't spend an extra penny on it. Now, we also know that this can be quite daunting, and once you start going online and you start looking at all these different recruiting agencies, and there's a lot out there, and there's a lot making good profit from this, it can become a little overwhelming. So there's some people that want third party, recruitment organizations. They can be costly, and there's some much better than others. We're trying, I actually had a good conversation with TJ about this the other day, and we're trying to find some individuals or some organizations that we think are more aligned with our values and can actually help you. We may have one that we'll start talking to very shortly, and we'll reach out to all the families about that. But even when you do get one of these organizations helping you, they are just giving you a helping hand. It's still player led. And I say this, I can't, really stress it enough. There is no cheat code. You cannot pay your way through this process. It's got to come down to a coach is making a human decision. They want to meet you. They want to see they like you as a player and as a person. And that's got to be led by the player. One of the benefits of some of these organizations can be their network. Obviously, their network, they might know coaches that we don't know. There's a lot of colleges out there. So it's hard to know every coach, and we know a couple, obviously, if you're interested in Bard, I know the guy there. So, we will let you know shortly if there's some organizations that we recommend, or if we can partner with, or some individuals who work on that college recruitment as well. So when that comes to that. So what I like to do now, if you have any questions, send them me in the chat, and I'll ask TJ. But first, TJ, I want to ask you a question. I even know there's a couple of players in on the video right now who are really interested in Bard. Actually, one of our coaches is going to call you next week to talk about one of the players interested in Bard. So I'd like just to hear, and I think Bard is also a similar school. If it's not Bard, it's similar schools to that they might be interested in. So if you could just tell us a little bit about the school itself, and the
Sure.
soccer program you have over there.
Thank you. Bard is a top academic liberal arts college. We're located approximately 2 hours north of New York City in the Hudson Valley. I've been here for 4 years now. I think in my fifth year. Yeah, I'm in my fifth year. It's an extraordinary place. I've worked at 6 different colleges and universities in my career. I'm very fortunate. LIU Brooklyn for 20 years, and it's a place that changes your life. Faculty and staff and people really care about making a difference. Our professors are selected for their teaching ability and not for their research ability. You wouldn't have TAs or GAs where you would have that perhaps at larger schools. It's an extraordinary place. In terms of my program, we have quite a few from New York because New York is close by. So I think 7 or 8 of my players, I got to look at my board behind me, are from New York City or the vicinity. And they're all from very good soccer clubs. The level is very high here. We play in a Liberty League, which is one of the best leagues in Division III soccer in the country. I would say the top 4 teams in the Liberty League are Division I level teams on a good year. That's how high the quality is. Players choose to come to the Liberty League that want to have a well-rounded academic and athletic experience. 2 of my players that are first years were MLS Next players, and they took gap years. One was in the Netherlands last year, playing with a professional club, a youth club, and one was in Argentina. And they both were on my team this year and were critical players and started every match this year. So the level is very, very high. We're in a stage right now where we're ready to pivot to be competitive in terms of results. We have not had results that we've wanted quite yet, but have come very, very close. So that's a little bit about Bard. Liberal arts, economics, psychology, music, very well known for literature and writing. And I'm thrilled. It's exceeded my expectations in terms of since I've been here. So it's a little bit about my school.
Fantastic, thank you. So a couple of questions come in. If anyone has any more, please send direct messages to me. Is there, when in terms of recruiting, is there any particular leagues that you're focusing on recruiting from, or is it really based on, the individual and what you see?
Leagues in terms of, could you be a little more specific?
If it's whether it's a local league, certain EDP, ECNL, MLS Next.
No, not necessarily. It's a standard that the players is playing at. I have players that have MLS Next, EDP, ECNL, really from all over. There's quality players in all those leagues and divisions. So I don't discriminate because you're not an MLS Next player that you're perhaps not good enough. There are quite a few good ones. We've got 2 players from Alabama that are coming to play for us next year that are very, very good. One of them is MLS Next. The other one, they don't have an MLS Next team because he travels too far away. I have one from California that's also equally a very good player that he doesn't play in the same type of a league, but his high school team is very, very good. So usually the club level is very high. This young man, his high school team is one of the best in California, so he's playing at a high standard. So not necessarily, I don't choose a specific league.
Yeah. So with Division III, obviously there's no athletic scholarships. What other types of scholarships or financial aid can players get?
Sure. Bard specifically is a need-based college. So parents fill out their FAFSA. There's another form that they fill out. There's 2 actually that Bard asks you to do. And Bard does a very, very good job of meeting your need. Bard doesn't give necessarily like specific academic awards because we have all the students that are applying or that get accepted are very, very high academically. So it's financial aid based needed at Bard. Other schools may have a merit aid program. Quite a few do. and also financial aid. So that's a combination of financial aid and merit aid. And I have some players that have gotten tremendous financial aid packages, quite a few actually, most because of their family need.
Right. Yeah, I know there's some programs within the state of New York that two or three of our players have ended up going to college for free. So I think that would be more towards your high school and your college counselors, guidance, getting that way and looking into those options. And we also had the last few years, we've had quite a lot of players successfully in the league that we play in, especially at the younger ages, the CGSL. They also offer scholarships, and John, who I mentioned going to Hamilton, also got a little bit of financial aid scholarship from the league. So some of the leagues offer this as well. So there is other ways of getting it outside of that, holy grail of athletic scholarship everyone focuses on. So when did I just, to explain an ID clinic in a bit more again. So an ID clinic is essentially if you ever a college. So in fact, TJ, why don't you tell us exactly what
Sure,
happens at Bard's ID
sure.
clinic?
Yes, so ID clinic, what you do is normally they're 1 day clinics. The college programs normally are their 1 day. The exact sports or the Future 500, they have 1 day regional ones and 3 day national camps. Let me speak to the 1 day clinic that I do at Bard, and I could speak to the other ones if you'd like, just as well. The 1 day one at Bard, what we do is we check in, and I actually run sessions with the players the way I would run a session for my college team. So one, you get a chance to experience what it's like to train with a college coach. Same exercises, same drills, same demands, and two, I get a chance to see how you would apply the ideas that I have. I spend a lot of time with vision. Lee knows about this, and the rest of your staff, in terms of training players to scan to see the field. That's a specialty that I've been doing for quite a long time. And then we play small-sided games. So we do that, let's say 9 to 10. We run a session, and then 10 to 10:45, 10:30, 10:45, we play small-sided games, 5v5, 6v6. So you're getting maximum touches to small goals, or if we have goalkeepers, to big goals. So we see you with in front of the goal and also defending and also attacking. And then after that, we have a break where my players have a chance to speak privately with the prospects. So if you were to attend our ID camp, you would speak to them. You ask them very freely any questions. How do they feel about coach? How do they feel about the school, about the program? And we're transparent. We don't just try to sell somebody to come here. This is what Bard's about. Uh, you like it, fantastic. If it doesn't fit your need, totally respect, understand that. And then I also chat with the parents. So at the very beginning of the program, I have a session, a good half-hour session with the parents. I explain to them what I'm looking for, what my expectations are, how I am as a coach, what how many players we're looking for next year. So I have a very open discussion with the parents. We do a tour of the campus, have lunch with my players, all on their own. Again, it's about getting to know the players because they're spending 90+% of the time with students, not with me. So they need to be comfortable with the students. Then we come back in the afternoon. I run another session, and then we play big 11v11. So we see what you look like in your positions. What does it look like under the demands of the full game? And then we generally finish up 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and then say our goodbyes. And then there's feedback and follow up after that. I ask the players to reach out to me and let me know how their experience was. If they want specific feedback, we'll give you specific feedback on how you perform. That's how my ID camp looks.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned that you don't advertise your clinic. In general, how do people find out about an ID clinic for run by a school?
Well, if someone reaches out to me and is interested in Bard, I'll see where they are. We'll take a look. My assistant and I will look at the video and see where they fit into uh, our queue of players. If they're in the top end, in the middle end, or somewhere else, and and then if someone's still very keen, we'll invite them to our ID camp. So it's generally players that reach out to me, or if I do a national camp or I do a regional camp with Exact, and this is what I do. For example, Exact may have 60 players at a regional camp, and I'm going to be attending one in June I believe first week in June, I've signed up for one. In that camp, if there's 5 or 6 players that I really like, I will reach out to them right after the camp at the pitch and invite them to my ID clinic and tell them that I'm interested. It's also on my website, so folks that go to the BARD website, the ID clinic's right there. You can just sign up on your own. So it's not like it's a secret. It has to be posted. We don't hide it. But I want to be very intentional with people that are interested. I don't just mass email everyone, come to my ID clinic and have 100 people. No, no, no. We've had 25 to 30, 20 to 30 the last 4 years. That's it. Ours is very, I think, different. Some of them are money makers, so please know that. I know one school in the Big East that's in New Jersey. That's a Catholic school. I'm going to say that's all I'm going to say. No more than that. They do 3, and they have 75 to 100 players. So that's going to be, for them to really probably pay for an assistant coach. Some of the schools do that to pay for an assistant coach. And if you're good enough to play at that level, by all means, go attend that clinic. But know that it's going to be 75 plus players that you're competing against. They may select 2 or 3. Again, I'm not discouraging you. I just want to be so you're very realistic in what your opportunities are. Please know that.
Fantastic, thank you. Actually, one of the questions here, it's quite an interesting one. Just from what I've been told, the players who go to play club soccer within a school, is there any kind of recruitment process? Or from what feedback I've been told from players is there's just an open tryout and they've still got to be successful within that tryout.
There's, from my understanding, it's just an open tryout. So the player I was talking to you about in Delaware, they post open tryouts and it's part of their club program and it's funded. These are funded programs. My niece went to Cornell University, very high level volleyball. They had 3 club teams in volleyball. She was a top New Jersey volleyball player from the Princeton area, like a top player. She barely made the third team. They had the varsity volleyball first, second, and third club team, but she made it and had a fantastic 4-year experience playing club ball.
So, like you said earlier, they can multiple levels, A, B, and C team within club. It's taken seriously. This is really competitive. Like you said, there's national championships. It just allows players to have a real nice balance, especially if they're at certain big schools academically. And it really isn't anything like, rec or intramural. It's not just for fun. It's still pretty competitive. And all the players who've done it have sent me their pictures. And they're in their uniform. Just looks no different to college soccer.
Yeah. I'm delighted, Lee, that you actually are encouraging that, because you're the first DOC that really leans into it. Whenever I do my talks at these national exec camps, because the players there are looking at big schools, perhaps, I'm always telling them, look at the club program, because you'll have also a well-rounded experience. If you're looking at a Rutgers or Ohio State or Michigan, these are very good academic schools, but they're huge. There's 30, 35,000 students. Chances going to be hard to play there, but they've got very good club programs.
One of the things that we get asked a lot is using soccer to help you get into a program. So if it's a really competitive program, or if your grades are not, really high, can soccer help you? Do you have any feedback on using soccer in those circumstances?
Yeah, we have some opportunities to help students get into school. It varies for different schools. Some schools have a list where they can anywhere from 1 to 5 players. I'm talking about high academic schools now. This is what I'm saying, that they can have passes where it has to be someone who is a capable student, so not someone who is not a capable student. But if that student does not meet their minimum benchmark, then there's some opportunities. At BARD, I recommend people. So right now we're in regular decision. We already have, where's my list here, 7 committed and deposited players from our early decision process, ED process, and early action process. 7 are deposited and are in. And now I have, where's my list again? Here we go. I have 4 that are in our regular decision pool. and I'm going to provide our admission department with a ranking of our top 4 players. Doesn't mean my number 1 is going to get in, but if there's a question in terms of if they feel that this is a student that they might want to take a chance on, they feel good about, my recommendation hopefully will make a difference. It's not 100% by any stretch, and I haven't been told that, but they want to know that who my top 4 are, and there's definitely we have the opportunity to help in that regard. If I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. That's fantastic. Really good detail. TJ, I don't want to take any more of your time. Really, really appreciate all the answers you've given today, and hopefully overall this guidance event has been really helpful for all of our players. If I have any other questions parents have, there's a couple more just coming in last second. If you want us to email them to me, if I can't answer them, then I will definitely ask TJ for any of his feedback on it. But overall, thank you very much. Like I said, family players, get your list together, get your highlight video, contact us, and we'll help you. We'll guide you in the right direction. It's down to you. This is your soccer. This is your college. This is your life. So it's all up to you in this process. But thanks, TJ. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lee. It's been a pleasure to be on. And just my last note is for everyone. There's a place, if you want to play college soccer, there's a place for your son or your daughter. You might have to do a little bit extra work. You might have to uncover, look under more stones to do that. But there's absolutely a place for your son or your daughter to play if they have that motivation and inspiration. And good luck.
All right. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, everyone.